needs well-being, good relationship and companionship, good health, financial stability. Everyone needs true wellness.
This is another Tuesday, and you know Tuesdays for us is always a good day.
Stay hooked on the True Word Television every Tuesday.
Welcome again to the True Wellness Connections
at 5:30 p.m. Winnipeg or Central Time to join Claudine Cintije.
That heartbreaking situation that you are in right now, it is just for a moment.
Elizabeth Bremo.
Know your do's and don'ts. Then know the area you want to work on.
And many more well-equipped panelists.
Because I never see anybody that waited upon the Lord and God put to shame.
To be educated.
When you study, don't study only for one day in a week and think you've arrived.
Equipped.
No one can ever be perfect.
Nobody.
And no one can get it right all the time. We can all mess up.
Sharpened.
To be a relaxed woman is more powerful than a talkative.
And empowered towards your true wellness.
You can change yourself. You can change how you see things.
From parenting, educating, health, finances.
When you are facing one issue or the other, the whole of you is involved.
Relationships.
Every human being will face situations that they were not expecting.
Spiritual.
Jesus said to his disciples, in this world you will have tribulation, so be of good courage.
And day-to-day life matters.
Everything is all about life.
They cut across all topics to make sure you reach the goal of being well.
We talk about homes, education, we talk about children, we talk about marriage.
Different topics, different guests.
If we must deal with challenges and vulnerabilities, especially vulnerabilities, we have to deal with pain.
The True Wellness Connections, every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Winnipeg or Central Time with Claudine Cintije and Elizabeth Bremo.
We would be glad to have you with us
on the True Word Television. Don't dare miss an episode. This program is proudly brought to you by Nefertiti 24K Gold Soap. Jabari Design Watches. And Nefertari Beauty. Everyone needs well-being, good relationship and companionship, good health, financial stability. Everyone needs true wellness.
This is another Tuesday, and you know Tuesdays for us is always a good day.
Stay hooked on the True Word Television every Tuesday.
Welcome again to the True Wellness Connections
at 5:30 p.m. Winnipeg or Central Time to join Claudine Cintije.
That heartbreaking situation that you are in right now, it is just for a moment.
Elizabeth Bremo.
Know your do's and don'ts. Then know the area you want to work on.
And many more well-equipped panelists.
Because I never see anybody that waited upon the Lord and God put to shame.
To be educated.
When you study, don't study only for one day in a week and think you've arrived.
Equipped.
No one can ever be perfect.
Nobody.
And no one can get it right all the time. We can all mess up.
Sharpened.
To be a relaxed woman is more powerful than a talkative.
And empowered towards your true wellness.
You can change yourself. You can change how you see things.
From parenting, educating, health, finances.
When you are facing one issue or the other, the whole of you is involved.
Relationships.
Every human being will face situations that they were not expecting.
Spiritual.
Jesus said to his disciples, in this world you will have tribulation, so be of good courage.
And day-to-day life matters.
Everything is all about life.
They cut across all topics to make sure you reach the goal of being well.
We talk about homes, education, we talk about children, we talk about marriage.
Different topics, different guests.
If we must deal with challenges and vulnerabilities, especially vulnerabilities, we have to deal with pain.
The True Wellness Connections, every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Winnipeg or Central Time, with Claudine Cintije and Elizabeth Bremo.
We would be glad to have you with us
On the True Word Television. Don't dare miss an episode.
Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome again to the True Wellness Connections. My name is Claudine Cintije and I'm going to be your host today. I'm so happy and excited again to be able to share with you, to make a follow-up from the show that we had last Tuesday. It's going to be very, very exciting. Today is going to be question and answer for those who were following us since last time. And I know those who have sent in questions, you must be on standby waiting to see the answer that you are going to get. So strongly encourage everyone, please can you share the link with your friends, your neighbor. You know, the topic that you have been talking about since last week about understanding therapy and you know how to reach out to a therapist is a topic that somehow most of us need, even though we may be ignoring it. So we're going to be showing you the guest that we have today is the same one from last week. For those who may not been there, like who haven't been there, who have not watched us last week, and you want to know who is the guest that we have today, so just connect with us shortly. Let us discover again our host of the day.
Counseling. Oh yeah, yet counseling. Do I really need counseling? In which area of my life? Well, then come and find out tonight on the True Wellness Connections, where Claudine Cintije and Elizabeth Bremo are hosting for you Leslie Hackett. Leslie Hackett was born and raised in Winnipeg. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. She earned a master's degree in marriage and family therapy from the University of Winnipeg in 2014. She has worked at Pluriel, St. Boniface Health Center, and The Link, and is currently in full-time private practice since 2021. She is a service provider with the Manitoba Blue Cross Employee Assistance Program and the Renaissance Center, which provides counseling services to students at St. Boniface University. She is also a clinical supervisor at Community Wellness Center, where University of Winnipeg marriage and family therapy students complete their practicum. Her work in the community includes co-facilitating Project HEAL, a group program to educate Black Winnipeggers about mental health and to discuss Black identity issues and the intersection with mental health. You are so privileged to have her in your living room and your space anywhere you are to listen more about all this. Stay tuned as we get all counseled tonight. This program is proudly brought to you by Nefertiti 24K Gold Soap, Jabari Design Watches, and Nefertari Beauty.
Alright, I guess everyone have seen our guest, have heard how loaded she is. So, would you please just send your greetings to our viewers?
Hello
today?
everyone, nice to be with you again. And Claudine, thank you so much for having me back.
We
I'm
are
happy to be here.
just so excited to have you again. You did amazing work last Tuesday. We had a lot of feedback, and that's why we received so many texts for questions that they have for you. and I hope you are ready to answer all the questions. I didn't want to send the question to you because I just want to see, you know, how you navigate them. And,
okay, well, you'll be able to see the wheels turning, and hopefully,
that's right.
Hopefully, I'll be able to say something for each question.
It's okay to say, you know what, this is kind of challenging. That's okay too, no problem. Okay. So, are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, let's get started. Okay, the first questions that I receive. He said so. Some therapists are actually making it worse. How does one pick the right therapist to work with?
That is a really good question, and of course that depends on the individual. And I think something to remember, something that's really important to remember, is that therapists are human beings too.
Okay.
Just like everybody else, like therapists have their own problems, their own issues. Therapists also go through ups and downs in their own lives, and just as, you know, anybody else's ability to do their job well is affected by other things going on in their life, the same is true for therapists. And so yes, of course, that that can make a difference in how a therapist is doing in their job from day to day. And also, not everybody's personality is going to click with everyone else's. Just how there are some people in life that we like and some people in life that we don't like. There will be therapists that we like and we work well with and can connect with. And there will be other therapists that we don't connect with, and that's perfectly natural and fine, and that's to be expected. Not everybody is the same, and not therapists can or should be the same. I think that it's important for clients to know that, you know, when they're initially looking for a therapist, it's perfectly fine. It's a good idea to consult with lots of different therapists. Reach out, ask for some information before you schedule an appointment with somebody. Lots of therapists will give a free short consultation where you can ask questions. I think that's a really important opportunity to just see if you like the way the therapist talks, if you like the way they relate. Ask them about their approach and see how that feels for you. See if it makes sense to you. See if you would feel comfortable with that person. And if you don't have to meet with that person. And also, if you do start meeting with them, if you have 1 or 2 or 3 sessions with them and you feel like it's not really going well and you don't want to continue with that person, you don't have to. That is always your choice. And I think part of the therapist's responsibility is to check in every now and then with the client, just to see, okay, like, how are things going? Does it feel like we are focusing on what you want to focus on? Do you feel like you're getting something from these meetings? Because if you're paying for it and you're spending your time participating in that, then it's important to feel like you're getting something out of it, obviously. On the other hand, like, it's also important to remember that therapy is not a magic quick fix. You know, especially if you're going in to deal with issues and problems or patterns that have been going on for a long time. Like, if, you know, if you've been dealing with an issue for most of your life, or, you know, for years and years and years, that's not going to change overnight. And just because you have a few therapy sessions and you don't really feel like much has changed, that doesn't mean that therapy is useless. It doesn't mean that it's a waste of time. We just have to understand and be patient and trust the process and realize that sometimes it can take a long time for things to change. Also, think about, so if you don't like your therapist or if you don't like going to therapy, ask yourself honestly, what is it that I don't like? Because sometimes we're not comfortable being challenged. And I think that one of the most important things for a therapist to do is to challenge their clients to see things in a different way, to consider a different perspective, or maybe even to consider, if you're in a conflict with somebody, to consider that other person's perspective. And sometimes we don't want to do that. We're reluctant to do that. And so if what we don't like about going to therapy is that, well, the therapist never agrees with anything I'm saying. They're always telling me to try something different. Maybe it could be that the challenge for you, or what you need to do, is be a little bit more open and vulnerable to what the therapist is encouraging you, that the other perspective that the therapist is challenging you and encouraging you to consider. That's not easy, and it takes a lot of self-reflection and self-awareness to be able to do that. But I think that is an important part of the therapeutic process, to be able to be flexible in your thinking and flexible in your perspective. And if that's uncomfortable, that's natural. It's okay to be uncomfortable doing that, but that doesn't mean it's a bad therapist.
Wow, thank you so much. I know a family friends that have 2 girls. That growing up, those girls at certain age as teenagers, they went through some conflict. For some reason, these 2 siblings, they grow apart. They grow apart all the years, like a cat and the rats.
Okay.
No one could talk to one another.
Yeah.
So the parents say, the parents tried, you guys, how long are you gonna be fighting? It's a time you need to make peace, because you are siblings anyway. One is willing, say, no problem, I can do it. Another one, I say, me over my dead body. I don't need her. I can make my life without her. I can be at peace without her. This cannot happen. Then the parent will be in between, crying, like, you guys, can you have peace with one another? You can imagine, you as a parent, you see your kids tearing each other apart for no reason other than conflict that siblings can always have. So then one day, one of the girls just make a step forward and say, okay, I'm going to be the bigger person. Just, hey, can we just talk? Can we have a relationship? Okay. It seems like the other person was responded well to check with each other. But as the parent reporting is that these 2 people, even though they could be together, they look like they are together. But the one who's always holding in the heart could not trust that actually this is a beginning of reconciliation or fresh beginning. You see as if they are okay. The other one, you see like he want to care for the younger one. But that one, when he's asking for this one will be like, I can't do this. Can we do this one together? Oh no, I just have to take my step. Then this one feels like, I don't know, that this person feels like I'm competing. And the other one will be like, oh, she's the one who started it. If he's doing these ones, so me, I'm going to be apart. If he's not respecting me, I'm not going to take it. So this friend of mine, they are really desperate.
Yes, that must be a tough situation for the parents.
Do you think these 2 siblings, they would benefit the counseling? Do you think what do you think would have happened? Because the truth is, you see the other one really was happy to see that finally they can talk. But when they come together, you see, I don't know if it's because of many years they were apart, but they can't still connect. But the truth
conflict.
There's a conflict, there's issues, there's things that's not settled. But one say like, can you see, I'm trying my best, look at, I'm even asking to take a picture so you can have a souvenir of a fresh beginning. This person doesn't want to.
Yeah.
So the parent is in between, is like, what should I do? How can I help? So what do you think? I think the parents is going to be following and listening to see the suggestion, because sometimes I feel like, okay, do I need to take them to a counseling? Does one of them need to a counseling? What do you think can be done? Because the truth is they both want to be together, you can tell. But one cannot let it go aloud. You know, when you are free, you say, you know what, whatever, we are starting afresh, we are doing this. So
that sounds like a really painful, heartbreaking situation for everybody involved. Like, obviously the parents want their their kids, their daughters, to have a good relationship. They want to be able to spend time together with the whole family. And if there's conflict, then that makes it either one won't, people don't want to participate, or it's tense and awkward when they're together. So I can understand why that's putting pressure on everybody. And I think that there definitely is hope for them. And, if they chose to go to family therapy, that would be great. That would be a great way to sort out what is going on in this dynamic and to look for opportunities for change. Like, what has to happen to resolve the conflicts between the two girls? And so my approach is called the systemic approach. So you said that there's the one sibling who is ambivalent or reluctant to be involved with her sister and to be involved with the family. So from my approach, I don't look at that one sister as the problem. It's not that the only problem is that she doesn't want to have a relationship with her sister or with the family. The problem is the dynamic between everybody in the family. And so I would want to know, what is the relationship between the parents like? What is the relationship like between the two sisters? There's just two sisters?
There are two sisters.
Yeah. What is their relationship like? What is the relationship like between the mom and the oldest sister and the mom and the youngest sister? What is the relationship like between the dad and the youngest and the dad and the oldest? What is it like when the parents and the youngest are together? What is it like when the parents and the oldest are together? So all the different kind of configurations and dynamics. And I would want to learn, like, what are the, like, how does everybody get along? And what are the reasons why the sister who is uncomfortable, like, what is she uncomfortable with? What is she unhappy about? And are the other people in the family aware of that? Are they aware of the things that she's not comfortable with, or the things that she's irritated about? Is it because of something that happened when the girls were young? Is it because maybe without realizing the parents treat them differently? Is there a lot of competition between the two sisters? Are they very different in their personalities? Are they very similar? All of those things can contribute to, like, all of those things influence how people in a family feel about each other. And there may be a lot going on that the parents are not aware of, a lot going on between the girls. And I think it's really important for, again, for the sister who is distant from the family, it's important to give her a chance to talk about what's going on inside for her, and for everybody else to listen without defensiveness. That's the most important part. Like, if she says, well, I feel like mom and dad, you treat her better than me, it's not useful for the parents to immediately say, oh, no, that's not true, you're just imagining it, you're making it up. You can ask her, like, be curious and listen to what she says. Like, what do we do that makes you feel like we don't treat you as well as your sister? What is it that your sister is doing that makes you feel like she thinks she's better than you? I'm just giving examples of what she could be feeling. So again, asking questions that get people to open up about the dynamics that are going on, and then asking people, okay, so what would you need from your parents, or what would you need from your sister to feel more comfortable spending time with them? Ask the parents, like, are there maybe things, are there aspects of your daughter's of her life, or if are there things that she's doing or that you don't approve of, or that you're not comfortable with? And maybe is that coming across in subtle ways that you don't really notice, but that really make her feel excluded in the family? Like, there could be all kinds of things going on. And I think the most important thing is for people to be able to communicate about that without defensiveness.
Exactly.
Yeah, and without blaming.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, and I know everybody will be following. Trust me. So another question is, what can a wife do if she feels that they need a therapist as a couple, but the husband said no? But the wife feels like, there's a lot of red flag. I see this marriage going the wrong direction, but the woman is pushing to go to see a therapist for help, and the man say no, 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 but yet it's causing a heartache to the wife. So what would you think the wife would do?
That's a really tough situation, and that does happen. And sometimes it's also the opposite, like where the husband really wants to go to therapy and the wife doesn't. But I actually do think that it's more common for the wife, for the woman to want to go. But I think we have to accept that we can't control other people. We can't make other people do what we want them to do. But I think something that she can let him know is that this is really important to me. Like, I see us in a pattern, or there are things happening in our relationship and I can see it's causing more and more conflict. It's causing me a lot of stress. It's causing stress for our kids if they have kids. And I am worried about the future of our relationship if something doesn't change. And just between the two of us, just on our own, we have not been able to figure out a way to make a positive change. And so if somebody can help us, or if we can do something that can help us figure out what we need to do differently, that will be good for us. That will prevent this cycle from getting worse and worse and worse. That'll prevent us from getting to the point where we're both miserable all the time and are just completely stuck. And you can just make it clear to him that this is very important for the future and the health of your relationship. And who knows what he'll say. You can say, this is really important to me and I want you to come, but I also understand that if you don't want to come, I can't force you. But what I can do is go to individual therapy myself. Yes. And hopefully that won't be a problem, because like in some couples, sometimes women can feel very controlled and like they don't have the power to make their own choices.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and so sometimes women do not feel safe making a choice like that, or if they're financially dependent on their husband and they can't pay for the sessions on their own. Like, there are lots of reasons why people can't go to therapy. But if that is something that she's able to do, she can talk with the therapist and describe the dynamic that's happening. And, the therapist, of course, has to keep in mind that they're only getting her perspective. They're not hearing about what it's like for him and his thoughts and his feelings in the relationship. But talking with a therapist can help her recognize what her needs are. It can help her recognize what she isn't happy with in the relationship. And it should also help her focus on and recognize what is her role in what's going on between the two of them. And recognize, okay, I notice that every time we get into a disagreement about something, I shut down and I go in my room and I go in the room for 5 hours and I don't come out and I don't talk to him. And that drives him crazy and that makes everything worse. So that's something that she can change. Okay. It might be difficult because she's going to have to figure out how to feel comfortable staying in the room with him and staying in the conversation with him and not leaving and not shutting down. And that's not easy, but that is something that she can do to make a positive difference. And she can also talk with the therapist about how to communicate her needs to him in maybe try a different way, like what is maybe a different way of communicating with him that will actually get through to him, that he will maybe actually be more likely to respond
Receptive,
to. Yeah. So, I mean, it would be ideal if they could go to therapy together, but at least she can start out talking to somebody on her own, and then maybe if he changes his mind, they can go to couples therapy. They can go to couples therapy. And one thing to keep in mind for most therapists who do individual and couples therapy, if you start out seeing somebody individually, if you start out doing individual therapy and then you decide that you want to do couples therapy later on down the line, most of them will probably refer you to a different therapist to do couples therapy, because if you've already had lots of sessions with that individual, lots of individual sessions with that one person, and then your spouse joins, your spouse might feel left out. Or like the two of you already have a really good relationship and they're going to gang up on you. So most, and we don't want that. We don't want people feeling, we don't want anyone being uncomfortable feeling like they're being ganged up on in therapy. So that's why lots of couples, lots of therapists, when you start out with them individually, if you want to do couples therapy, they'll refer you to somebody else.
Okay. So what about in a situation like that? And, remember, you cannot change, as you say, you cannot change the other person. And you can change yourself.
Right.
So what about if you decided to adopt a coping mechanism of not caring and focusing on yourself? Yes, it doesn't not bring peace in the house, because that's not how couples are supposed to live. Couples are supposed to be friends with each other. You're supposed to do things together, to talk. You go to work, you come back, you talk to your partner, my day was like this, was like that. But once you realize that your partner, your husband or your wife is no longer in that, the atmosphere is no longer good. And you find a way, a coping mechanism of not to care, but to focus on yourself. And through that, you find a happiness that your partner now get to wonder, oh, you must be cheating on me.
Okay.
So how do you think, because marriage is supposed to be for life. Your partner, if he doesn't want to go for a counseling, and you feel like, and that particular person, and you find a peace within yourself, whereby you go to work, you come home, you're still at peace. How do you think that will affect the couple? Because you realize that your partner also will feel like whatever I have been doing, it looks like this person must have somebody else entertaining her. Then it becomes another second battle in the marriage. So do you think the woman should continue to make herself happy at the expenses of the other person, feeling that is being cheated on? Or
that's a tough situation, and that definitely happens. And it's sad when anybody has to kind of choose to stop caring.
That's very sad.
In their relationship. That's disappointing. It can feel extremely lonely.
Yes.
You can feel even more lonely in your relationship than you would if you were single.
Yes.
If there's that big disconnection between the two of you. If there's no more emotional intimacy, like all those things that you were describing, like that's about emotional intimacy. Yeah. And physical intimacy too. Like intimacy means lots of different things. But
physical start with emotional. If you're not emotionally connected, physically it won't happen.
Those things are all connected.
They're all interconnected.
Yeah. But I think what you're saying is important. That if you realize that, okay, your spouse, for whatever reason, is not going to meet your emotional needs, then I think it is important to try to work on meeting your own emotional needs as much as you can.
Absolutely.
So if you and your spouse don't have any common interests, you don't like to do the same things, you're not really interested in, you don't enjoy spending your time together, that doesn't mean that you have to sit at home by yourself doing nothing. You can develop your own interests. You can, of course, people are busy, families are busy. You might have kids that you spend a lot of time taking care of your kids, working. We all are very busy in our lives, but that makes it all the more important to enjoy the leisure time that you do have, and to not kind of sit around miserable, wishing that your spouse would want to, go for a bike ride or go to the movies with you.
Yeah.
Go with someone else. Go with a friend. Go on your own. Think of the ways that you would like to spend your time, and create opportunities for yourself to do that. And you can let your spouse know.
Yes.
You can it doesn't have to be
secret.
It doesn't have to be a secret. And it shouldn't be something that you're doing like in spite, or to make them jealous, or to make them suspicious. If you're just going for a bike ride, you don't have to go out sneaking and making it look like you are
sneaking in
exactly,
out of somebody.
Exactly. You can just say, you know what, honey, I understand if you don't like cycling. I really like it, and so I'm not going to put pressure on you to do that with me anymore. That's okay. You don't have to. But from now on, every Tuesday nights, or twice a week, or 3 times a week, or whatever, I'm going to go for a bike ride because I like it. And I'm going now. I'll be back in a couple hours, and I'll see you later. And go and enjoy yourself.
Yes.
And try not to spend the entire time thinking, oh, I'm so angry that he's not here. Like, why won't he just do this with me? Just enjoy yourself.
Life. Yeah, thank you so much. So, another question. Can a narcissist be rescued by a therapist?
Oh, boy.
A narcissist be rescued by a therapist.
That's a good one. And
it put a smile on your face. Eh?
Well, because just because the word narcissist is so commonly used these days.
Yes.
But I think, can a narcissist be saved? I mean, that's
by a therapist.
Yeah, that's a tough question. Like, I think it depends on. Like, if you're going to couples therapy and you believe that your spouse is a narcissist, that's one thing. Or if you are going to individual therapy because I notice that lots of people tell me I'm a narcissist, and I wonder what that's about. Maybe I'll go to therapy and I'll explore that in
go to
therapy.
us and find out.
Yes. Like, I think there's lots of different ways that could look, but I think. Whether a person has narcissistic traits or not, I think the important thing is if they want to change, and if they recognize the things that would be worth changing, like recognizing the things that they need to focus on to change those characteristics. Now, they just, in the question, it was just the word narcissist, not somebody who has necessarily been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder.
For you to be diagnosed with that, you have to be able to be cooperating.
Right. Yeah.
Like that. Admin. Yeah. That's a different thing. Yeah. Is making people around you uncomfortable.
Right.
And that's when people can even be diagnosed. But most of the time, they will have the characteristic, but most of the time they won't even admit they have a problem. That's the issue.
Right. And with personality disorder diagnoses, like, it's so questionable whether those are even, like, I think that the whole idea of diagnosis is very debatable, and I like to believe that even with a diagnosis, that doesn't mean that zero change is possible. I like to believe that some change is possible, and most importantly, the client has to believe that some change is possible, and they have to want to make that change. So can they be rescued in therapy? I don't know. They're probably not going to make a complete 180-degree turnaround in the way they behave, but maybe they might be able to, again, getting back to the idea of considering other people's perspective. They might develop that ability to be more aware of the other person's perspective. They might be able to develop their ability to show empathy and compassion for other people. They might be able to develop their self-awareness. And those things are all kind of the opposite of narcissism. So the answer is maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So everything depends on the person who realize that people are talking this about me. Can I just go and really find out who am I actually? Because sometimes when your personality goes far beyond to bring discomfort to the people around you, you're gonna have to be able to listen when people are complaining about you. And then you just say, okay, let me go find out. Maybe something is wrong with me and I do not know. So it depends on the person, as you said. Yeah. So another question. How do you know if a relationship or marriage is worth saving?
That is a big question. And how somebody feels about that might change over time. It might change from one day to the next. I think it is a big question. A big part of that question is about emotional needs, or about needs in general, including emotional needs, and also your practical day-to-day needs of, you know, how you, like your lifestyle, how you run your household, your responsibilities, and it's such a personal question. But I think it comes down to what you can live with, what you have to have in your life, what is your absolute priority, and also what you can tolerate doing without, what you can live without, and then try to figure out, okay, like the relationship meets these needs, but it doesn't meet these other needs, and so for what it does give me, is this good enough? And for the things that it doesn't give me, can I live without those things? And how do I make up for the absence of those things in my relationship? Are these needs that I can get elsewhere, needs that I can get met elsewhere? Again, if it's the need for emotional intimacy, I think developing your ability to take care of yourself and your own emotions is really important. Also having really strong friendships, family connections, spiritual connections, if that is part of your life. Like all of the things that make you feel good as a person, really lean into those. And then see, like, you know, give yourself some time to see if you can kind of tolerate not having those needs met by your spouse, because you're getting those needs met in other areas of your life. If the relationship is full of distress and conflict, if the relationship is abusive, if the relationship is not safe, if the relationship is too stressful on your mental health, then those are really serious risks, I think, to your well-being in the long run. And so I think, like, if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel healthy in your relationship, then it's really time to think seriously about whether it makes sense to stay or not. And of course there's the question of, like, if you have children, that makes it it usually makes it much more difficult to decide to separate than if you don't. A lot of people that I talk to, I've talked to people kind of on both sides of the argument. People who did separate, people who had kids and might have separated when their kids were very young, and then people who wanted to separate and were not at all happy in their relationship but decided to stay together, or at least decided to not leave until their kids were older and independent. And I think for both people can see pros and cons of each decision. But I think something to keep in mind, I've also talked to kids whose parents, well, adults whose parents are separated or aren't separated, and a lot of them will say, yeah, I was relieved when my parents separated because I wasn't living in their constant fighting all the time.
Yeah.
And other people who will say, like, when, you know, my parents separated and it was extremely difficult for me, and I can understand why they did, but it was really hard. Or, no, I don't think they should have separated. I think they should have tried their best to make it work. So I think people will have, there's a range of different opinions that people can have about that situation. There's no easy answer. But I think for the people in the couple, it's really about, like, what do I need? What can I tolerate? And what am I not willing to tolerate? What can I not live without?
Okay.
Yeah.
So marriage, saving marriage or let it go, it depends on what is it there for you,
Right.
and what can you go without it. And really, I don't think there is any more answer other than yourself, who knows your relationship, you know your marriage, you know what to lose, what to gain, and you know what you can be like, you know what, this is his mistake, his downfalls, but this part of my partner, I cannot let cannot let her go. Because of this one, I can die for this one. You know, again, it depends on how you can tolerate, as you say it. But other things, you know, some people they live married by paper, like a document.
Yes. Yeah, just on paper.
Officially, you are married. The document, you are attached to marriage document. But the truth, the marriage does not exist.
Right.
So, what do you think? Sometimes one person can just decide to just leave the marriage without saying a word, without even saying, okay, I am divorcing my wife or I'm divorcing my husband. Like, one partner just decided to take off and go, leaving this other partner hanging out. So the truth is, the marriage does not exist in the definition of marriage. But hanging with a little string like this, a little string is holding you because there is a paper that was signed somewhere. So do you think, what would you advise to one of those two couples? One have left, can be a male, can be a husband or a wife. One have left the others, leaving this one wondering or questioning what is really happening, what is going on. Should the person who have left go and file for a divorce, or should the person who left file for divorce? But the truth is, marriage does not exist, but it has to end. But one of them does not care about making it happen. So who do you think should do? I know this question is very tough. Who do you think should take a move, or do you
Who
think
should leave? Who should be the one to leave?
to take a move? Because one have left the marriage.
Like, mentally, they're checked out.
Yeah, checked out.
Okay.
Checked out. Not even looking back. Forget even that there's a covenant that originally was signed. So what do you think the one who have left should do? Should you continue? Because we are attached with this cultural thing that, you have to just stay there. She's gonna come back, or he will come back. But meanwhile, it's not clear, because life should never be like that. Life should never be a guessing. You should know whether I'm here or I'm not there.
Yes.
Because life, nobody should put somebody else's life on hold.
Right.
Because every single day we live is a gift.
And you have to be, like, open and upfront about what
So-
you're doing and what your intentions are.
So what do you think, like, a woman would do in the circumstances like this, to live
Like,
a
if
life?
so,
Do you
if
think a
her
therapist
spouse
can
has,
help?
if
Left.
her spouse has left,
Left.
gone, no idea what's going on, if he's coming back, when he's coming back. What should she do?
No contact, nothing, just left. What do you think? Do you think a therapist can help, and what do you think should be the approach?
Yeah, well, that would be I think that would be a very confusing, destabilizing situation, and probably very stressful. And I think it would be helpful to have somebody to talk to in that situation. It could be a therapist, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, could be a
lawyer.
True, that too. Yeah, yeah. I guess it depends on how she feels about it as well. Like, I think maybe for some people in that situation, it might take them a long time to realize, oh, he's not coming back.
Actually, yeah.
Like, he's been gone before. He
Yeah.
goes away for a month, 3 months, 6 months, and he's come back before, but now this
gone.
time feels different, or this is way longer than any time before.
Yeah.
And maybe he's not coming back. So it might take a long time for that to even sink in. And then I'll just use she for example, like, she might fall into a state of, like, she might go into denial and tell herself, well, okay, even though he's been gone for 2 years now, I still think he's coming back.
He's gonna come back. He's a good guy.
Right.
He prays so hard.
Or might be telling that to other
people.
people because she's embarrassed and doesn't want people to know that things have changed.
Yeah.
And then hopefully eventually she can begin to recognize and accept reality, and to recognize, okay, he's not coming back. So then what
next?
What do I want? What's next for me? What do I do? So then she can decide. I guess there is the question of whether she files formally for divorce. Does she get a new boyfriend? Like, what do I want? What does moving on look like?
Yes.
And again, that could also be different for everybody.
Okay. Thank you so much. So another question is, we're checking time. I feel do we have all questions? Okay, we cannot finish all of them, that's for sure. So, okay. What does it take really what does it really take to save a marriage or relationship? How do we motivate men to go for therapy? Wow.
I think what it really takes to, I hate to use the word save, because maybe one thing I should make clear, I should have said at the beginning, is that therapists don't save marriages.
Yes.
It's only people in the marriage who can save the marriage, both people have to want to do that in order for change to happen, in order for the relationship to be saved. And I think both people have to be clear again about their needs, emotional needs, and they also have to want to and be able to meet the other person's emotional needs. And if they're not willing or able to do that, then it will be difficult for the relationship to continue and to be satisfying for both people. But if they can both kind of do what they need to do in order to meet the other person's needs, and both recognize their role in what's causing the conflict between the two of them and work to change that and to do it differently, then I think the relationship has a chance of surviving and maybe being even healthier than it ever was. But unfortunately, a lot of couples wait until things have gotten so bad that they don't feel any connection with each other. They wait until then to come to couples therapy, and for the therapist it's like, well, no, I can't do magic. I can't change either one of you. And so then sometimes therapy becomes about helping them decide if they want to stay together, and also maybe helping them separate as amicably and peacefully as possible.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Boy, you are, all guys, you are getting a free counseling. No pay, free of charge. You better go and share it. So another one, I think will be last. It's almost 7. So how long does seeing a therapist take, especially for a marriage that are about to end? Like you're in a marriage, like it's about to end, but maybe they, just in case they just decide to say, you know what, let's just, before we end, let's just go and see a therapist just for, you know, to see if we can save. How long the session will take? How long seeing a therapist takes, especially for a marriage that are about to end?
That's a good question. I think it's really hard to give a specific number of sessions that it will take. It might take just one session, or it might take 10 sessions or 10 months for people, or even longer, for people to recognize that the relationship is done and that they want to leave the relationship. And some people never end the relationship. They just stay in a relationship and stay in that kind of unhappy cycle, that unhappy pattern that they're in. But sometimes change is too scary for people to face. But I think what makes the difference is for people to accept the reality of the situation. For people to accept the reality that, okay, maybe, you know what, my spouse and I are just not compatible enough with each other to feel happy in the relationship. And we've both tried, and we've both made changes, but it's not enough. It wasn't, or we couldn't maintain those changes, and we're just not compatible with each other. And then the choice is, okay, so do we separate, or do we try to make the best of it? Do we continue running our household together? Do we continue raising our kids together? Do we kind of just continue on and do the things that we like to do together, but just accept that emotionally we don't connect anymore? So again, the choice could be different for every couple.
You say something very, very, very important that I wish people in our Black community, I would say, they would really understand in the couple. They should be able to understand that it's okay that sometimes you are no longer emotionally connected, and just be open with each other. I have heard from our Canadian, let's say Caucasian people, they can be friends, they can be in a relationship, they can be in marriage. One day a husband or a wife sometimes can wake up and say, you know what, I don't feel like I love you anymore just the same way I used to love you, so I feel we should separate. I met one man who was crying like a baby. I'm going through separation. I said, what happened? My wife just woke up and they say he doesn't want me anymore. He just told me he doesn't want me anymore. I didn't know what to do. You understand? I wish in the Black community or in the African community we can be sincere like that. Sincere like that. Because if somebody comes to you and they say, you know what, we had a very great year of marriage, but lately I don't feel emotionally connected with you anymore. Your way of being have pissed me off to the point I don't feel like I love you anymore. Really, that's the most genuine things I think our people should learn to do. Because love should never be forced. And it's okay if I pissed you off and you don't feel connected with me anymore. Other than just having a behavior that the whole world will be questioned. You have to be proud to say, you know what, I don't like you anymore. And it is okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you took off or you just react by behaving in the way that you want to torture your partner so that that partner can go and apply for divorce. Because some of the men, especially our African men, they can torture a woman hoping that you're going to ask for a divorce. And they'll be like, oh, thank God my plan succeeded. But there are other women that will be like, you know what, I'm not going to give you what you want. You can live your life there. I'm going to live mine, but we are here together. We are here. Why? Because if a man could be honest to the woman and say, you know what, my wife, I loved you so much, but at this point of time, we're no longer connected. You can easily and peacefully separate, you know, share whatever you have worked hard for in that marriage. And I think if you separate at peace, will you have hard time really giving your share to your husband? Things you worked together for 30 years, will you have any problem having a share of this amount for your wife? The stuff that you have, you worked for them, unless you are wicked people. Because in between both of you, you have children. And just remember, it doesn't matter you don't like your wife anymore, you don't like your husband anymore, then what about those children? You don't want to involve your children in the mess that you have gone through. You need to know, you need to spare those children to have life and to still enjoying their parents. What can we do to educate the mentality of African people so they can be able to understand? You are ending this marriage, but why on earth don't you think about those kids that are innocent in this marriage? But that does not mean you have to stick. I don't believe also in staying in a marriage for kids. I don't. I don't believe. When I got married, these kids were not there. I get married to be with my husband. Not to stay in a marriage painful, you don't sleep, you don't enjoy, so that people, they can say you are married. A marriage without peace, please discharge each other at peace. And one can go left and one can go right, and life continue. Because a life is a gift we get every day. Imagine living in the prisoner of your wife, living in the prisoner of your husband, just because you are married. You don't love each other. Sit down peacefully, end your relationship. One take left, not take right. Life continue. You can go get married to another woman. This woman, you can go get married to another man. These kids will go to daddy. They'll go to mommy. They'll be happy. And also kids, also they are usually happy when they see the parents are happy, right? So do you think that would be? That's what I'm saying. Do you think that would be a stupid approach? Like once you realize that you don't like each other, do you have to torture your partner, causing your partner to apply for a divorce? Because you can't face your own demon. You can't face your own trouble. But you can just do this and hoping that the other person will be pissed off enough to go and apply for a divorce.
Yeah. That is a really painful situation that you're describing. And I mean, I do work with a lot of African couples, African clients, and also couples from all different cultures from all over the world, with different religious and spiritual beliefs and traditional beliefs from different traditions. And that dynamic that you're describing, I think is actually present in lots of different cultures. And it is unfortunate. I definitely agree that nobody should feel like their marriage is a prison or like they're being held hostage by their spouse.
Imagine.
That's horrible. And if I had the chance to talk to the spouse who, like in your example, you said the husband, if I could talk to the husband who's torturing his wife, trying to get her to leave, I would ask him about like what the relationship means to him, what the idea of being divorced or being single would mean to him, and ask him what is going on, like what is keeping him from honoring his own desire to not be in the relationship.
Yes.
If it's clear, if he doesn't want to be in the relationship, what is preventing him from being the one to leave? And, you know, he might, some people are able to do that, like, that self-reflecting and realize that it would be best for everybody to file for a divorce. And other people, because of insecurity or who knows what reason, or possibly a desire to control, might not want to set that other person free. And that's kind of a way of thinking about it. So that's an extremely stressful, damaging situation, I think, for everybody involved. And I would just hope that they could get to the point where they both recognize that the relationship is over and take steps forward to move on.
Okay. Thank you so much, Leslie Hackett. I really don't know how much to thank you. I don't know how much you're being such a help to our community, to everyone that are going to follow us, to watch us. I know this is an issue that all of us, many people in different areas, we are really struggling. We are struggling with ourselves. We are struggling with decision to make. We are struggling whether we should be here or there, whereby sometimes having a profession to talk to, it can be such a relief. It gives you some directions on what to do. It makes you understand that you are not actually crazy. You are just fine.
And you're not alone.
Yeah, and it makes you understand that you are not alone. And that's why, Leslie, is there any way you can just tell our audience about your office, because you are a therapist to begin with, and tell people your office, because you want people who would love maybe to come and meet you or talk to you, and
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate all these questions, and it's my pleasure and my honor to kind of put information out there about the practice of therapy and, you know, give some of my opinions about how people can handle things and how I would handle certain situations as a therapist. So thank you for that opportunity. And if people would like to connect with me or to see what other therapists are out there, there's a website called Psychology Today. So just psychologytoday.com, I think. If you just search Psychology Today, the site has several pages of profiles of therapists in Winnipeg. You can specify which geographical area you would like to find a therapist in, and you can read their profiles. You can learn about them, and so that's a really good source for how to find a therapist or a counselor if you'd like to meet with somebody. I am on Psychology Today. I also do have my own website. It's lesliehackett.mft.com. So Leslie Hackett, marriagefamilytherapist.com. Also, if you just search Leslie Hackett Therapist Winnipeg, I'll probably come up there too. I do offer free 15-minute consultations for anybody who is interested in meeting with me, possibly. My office, I do in-person and video sessions, so for anybody who would like to meet in person, my office is near Grant Park Shopping Center. So yeah, I hope that this has inspired somebody out there to consider meeting with a therapist and, you know, beginning to talk through and work through whatever issues they're dealing with. And I hope it's also destigmatized the idea of therapy. So many of the questions, like basically all the questions that you asked today, I have already worked with at least one or sometimes many clients who are going through the same issues, and so I'm glad that people reached out with questions, and I hope they found it helpful. So Thanks for this opportunity.
By the way, I didn't ask all the questions.
Okay.
If I ask all the questions, I will stay here the whole night. I just cut them off. People there, they have so many questions going on in their mind. And that's the time you need to see really a therapist so that, you know, many of your questions can be answered. So we have heard that if you just type Google psychology today,
Yes.
Winnipeg, especially Winnipeg,
You can search specifically for Winnipeg or wherever you are located, I think within North America.
Okay.
You can search for a therapist in that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for us who live in Winnipeg, just Google psychology today, Winnipeg, and you'll see the profile of many therapists. You can read them. Maybe if you see one connecting with you, then you can go and contact the person and just get started. Don't just stay in your corner with so many things going on in your mind. Don't think only your pastors are going to resolve your problems. You know, your pastors also, they have so many church members, they cannot see all of you at the same time. So please book your own therapist. It's part of self-care. This mind needs to be taken care of. Sometimes we are overwhelmed. You know, you find yourself breaking your own marriage because you have been overwhelmed with the thought, the things going on, questions. You don't know how to handle the questions that's going on. And at the end of the day, you make a decision that you are going to regret later. Please, we don't want our marriages being broken in our community. Please, we beg. Whatever you think, just know, Leslie Hackett's offering 15-minute free consultation. In those 15 minutes, you can have a little idea whether you need to actually book a full session. So take advantages of that. Again, you can Google her name, Leslie Hackett. Then her information will come up, and then you can go and meet. So I think that should be enough for the day, because otherwise you stay here until tomorrow and there won't be
Lots to talk about.
a lot to talk about. And hopefully in the future, if we happen to need you again, would you come?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And so today concludes the Talk to a Therapist show that we had in the last 2 weeks. And we hope you are going to just understand that you don't have to be alone. Whatever question is going on, don't tell me you don't have questions. I have many of mine. And thank God for discovering the need for a therapist. If I wasn't seeing a therapist with what I've been going through in my life, I don't think I'll be smiling today. I'm smiling because I have somebody who helped me, what looks like a mountain to me, help me lower it, actually realize that it is actually not as bad as you think. Help you realize that there is a strength in you that you never even know you have. So that's why I'm encouraging all of you guys, find a therapist, go to Psychology Today in Winnipeg, read profile, pick one, just take advantage of those 15 minutes, see what they're going to guide you to do. Any last words to
I think you said it beautifully, so thank you.
Yeah, so much. Okay. All right, so we will see you again next week on Tuesday. Please stay connected with our show. There's another good one that's coming next week on Wednesday. Stay connected. So until we see each other next week, be good and enjoy the weather. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This program is proudly brought to you by Nefertiti 24K Gold Soap. Jabari Design Watches. And Nefertari Beauty. well-being, good relationship and companionship, good health, financial stability. Everyone need true wellness.
This is another Tuesday, and you know Tuesdays for us is always a good day.
Stay hooked on the True Word Television every Tuesday
Welcome again to the True Wellness Connections.
at 5:30 p.m. Winnipeg or Central Time to join Claudine Cintije,
That heartbreaking situation that you are in right now, it is just for a moment.
Elizabeth Brimo,
Know your do's and don'ts, then know the area you want to work on.
and many more well-equipped panelists
Because I never see anybody that waited upon the Lord and God put to shame.
to be educated,
When you study, don't study only for one day in a week and think you've arrived.
equipped,
No one can ever be perfect.
Nobody.
And no one can get it right all the time. We can all mess up.
sharpened,
To be a relaxed woman is more powerful than a talkative.
and empowered towards your true wellness.
You can change yourself. You can change how you see things.
From parenting, educating, health, finances,
When you are facing one issue or the other, the whole of you is involved.
relationships,
Every human being will face situations that they were not expecting.
spiritual,
Jesus said to his disciples, in this world you will have tribulation, so be of good courage.
and day-to-day life matters.
Everything is all about life.
They cut across all topics to make sure you reach the goal of being well.
We talk about homes, education, we talk about children, we talk about marriage.
Different topics, different guests.
If we must deal with challenges and vulnerabilities, especially vulnerabilities, we have to deal with pain.
The True Wellness Connections, every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Winnipeg or Central Time with Claudine Cintije and Elizabeth Brimo
We would be glad to have you with us.
on the True Word Television. Don't dare miss an episode. You are watching the True Word Television, spreading the true word of salvation.